Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Geeking Out podcast. I am the Athletic Geek, and oh boy, this is one I didn't expect to do, but I feel like this is too big to just contain to our normal Thursday live stream and things of that nature. So, all out, and a big weekend in just the whole wrestling world happened, and there was a show. There were matches, some good, some okay, some not so good. There were some moments. And then there was a debacle. And this is too big for us to do on our normal shows, so we are going to discuss it here on the Wednesday Geeking Out podcast with my esteemed panel. Starting first with one of our normal Thursday streamers, Easy.
Oh, normal. Okay. Hi, people.
And, of course, CJ.
As always.
And coming back, just like the last time we did a full podcast for to review an AEW pay-per-view, the Todd Black.
Hello. In the words of a famous man whose name I'm somehow blanking on, it's really weird. So, what do you guys want to talk about?
Our thing is, did something happen?
Did something happen this week? Yeah.
Something happened this week?
Did something happen?
Well, some Cardiff fans got screwed over, 62,000 of them, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so did 10,000 people in Chicago, but that's also neither here nor there.
So the only people that didn't get screwed over were Worlds Collide. Ish.
No, NXT UK fans got screwed there.
Yeah.
So we'll send this around the room. What did everybody think of the pay-per-view? What was everybody's favorite match? What was something that could have been better? Send this around the horn, and we will start with Easy.
All right. So since I saw this on TV, I didn't really walk in, with an open mind, because if you've been listening to our shows, you know that the optimism level was kind of low. And I just all right, I was legitimately contemplating even about watching this. After watching this, oh boy, we'll get to my thoughts later. But to make this real quick, though, the pay-per-view, I guess, on a flow was
Do you want to speak out loud which one you're talking about? Because all you're saying is PVV when there were 3.
He did not say, on record, the other two have not fully seen Clash, only...
Okay.
You and I have Todd.
Yeah,
so.
make that clear.
I'll make that clear. I did not watch Clash. I only saw the results, what happened. This is my one thought on Clash is, why the fuck are you screwing over the Judgment Day? Much like House of Black, which we'll get to later. But seriously, you don't want to make them strong? And also, I was right. Drew McIntyre, he wasn't going to win at home because, of course not. It's going to be Roman Reigns, because, of course. But, anyways. I know. But at least, the Cardiff crowd, when I saw, the highlights, my God, were they loud? And also, props to them that finally there were people trying to sing Alter Bridge. People, if you know the lyrics, fucking sing them.
All right, so what about All Out?
First, fast forward now to All Out. As I said, the flow was meh, but the crowd looked energetic for the most part. But I'm sure you guys had the first-person view over there. Favorite match, and honestly, match of the night, and possibly, well, you know what? This is a guarantee it's going to be in the top 10 at the end of the year. Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. Holy shit, was this an insanity match? And I'm like, come on. And then it almost looked like, Swerve in Our Glory, they were suddenly in a hostile crowd because the Acclaimed are so freaking over.
In Chicago.
I don't know what more to say. In freaking Chicago, of all places. It started off with, the two guys, they're both cheered, but everyone was just bound for the Acclaim to finally get tag champs. Even I'm like, come on, just give them the belts, please. But oh my God, after that match ended, I'm disappointed, but holy shit, was that insanity. I loved it. So some also honorable mentions. It was Isho, I think, against Kingston.
Ishii, yeah.
Ishii. Okay, Ishii. That's what I thought the first time. But for a pre-show match, that was awesome. Like, holy shit. That was awesome. And then also a second favorite match. Honestly, the trios finals were pretty good, and for everyone merely thinking Dark Order was actually going to pull off an upset, that was amazing. So, matches that I really didn't care about. Sorry, it was the women's fatal four way. I'm just like, I mean, great for Tony Storm, but I just wasn't happy about it. I was really happy with what Powerhouse Hobbs did with that jobber. Oh, sorry, the absolute Sparky Ricks. Again, okay match, and world title match. I'll get to my thoughts later.
All right. Well, Todd, what'd you think?
Well, you and I in our Facebook chat, we actually had an interesting discussion about this. You said that you were gonna, you weren't that high on the show, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's okay for you to say. And then you go, like, if I had a grade, I'd give it a B minus. I'm like, that's perfectly fair. I thought you could give like a D or something. I really did. But overall, was this, and I noticed on Twitter, and I got a lot of reception on it for some reason. Was this AEW's best show ever? No, definitely not. It doesn't come close to measuring All Out from last year, which we were both at. Was it a good show? I feel it was. Did it have missteps? Absolutely. My personal two big missteps were Jericho over Danielson. Great match, wrong result. I mean, they were doing a spectacle in many ways, and it got ruined because, of course, Jericho has to win. Why? Danielson should have won the match. The one that had me in fury, and if you actually look at the crowd and like measure their peaks and valleys, the valleys started after Athena lost to Jade in 6 minutes. It wasn't even 6 minutes. I was furious. It was all set up for Athena to win, and she had the Khonshu armor, and Jade as She-Hulk was awesome. I'm not gonna lie about that. That was kind of cool, but it was just the last two Jade pay-per-view matches, which was this and Athena and her versus Anna Jay Part 2, were honestly bad matches. And it was mainly because of Jade. And yet Tony is kind of booking her like Vince booked Charlotte. And they're not the same for obvious reasons and some honestly experience reasons. Like, she is, pun intended, green. Still, she is. And it showed in that match. And Athena deserved that title. We could have had two new women's champions to push the division forward, which they absolutely need right now. And I'm afraid he's going to pull a Thunder Roast and have the rematch at Grand Slam, and then Jade loses. And I'm like, it would have meant more at All Out. But, oh well. I love the trios match. That was my favorite. Oh, sorry. Gotta speak clearly. The trios championship match. That was my match of the night. Love the storytelling, especially the reference to Full Gear with Matt shaking his head that he wouldn't let Hangman have it this time. Love the fake outs to the Dark Order possibly winning. That was well handled.
And well frustrated.
Oh yeah, I honestly I was expecting Dark Order to win. I thought it would have been a big moment for Hangman to win for his crew, for his new crew. I don't mind it being on the Elite because you know that they'll bring prestige to every match they do with them. But this would have been a great time to have the underdogs win, like well and truly. I liked the women's four-way. My only problem was that the crowd was like not in it unless they were chanting for Hater, which I don't mind. Jamie's great, and I love that they finally built up the whole her versus Britt. And now maybe she can go join the Blackpool Combat Club like she really wants to do. But Tony needed to win that match. I almost had a heart attack when I thought Britt won the match. I seriously did. And glad Tony won. I like the main event, and as I'll bash on Clash later, no matter what happens with you know who, our main event had a great match, great ending, and a great cap off. Theirs didn't. I rest my case. I'm fine with a B minus grade though.
Okay, CJ.
So I'm one of the ones that didn't watch the full Clash of the Castle, but I did catch two matches. I caught their main event and their sing-along at the end of the show, which still confuses the hell out of me, even if they're in Cardiff.
Oh yeah.
What was the
And I also, it will be no surprise to Easy and the Geek that I caught the Gunther
Walter.
and Sheamus match. I still am holding the Walter. It's just better. It was a phenomenal match. No matter what you want to call him, the man is absolute beast, and
Agreed.
I'm sure that match, unless it's topped in the next couple months, will probably be on my top 10 list somewhere. I actually probably have 2 from this weekend, so all said, that's probably a pretty good weekend worth of wrestling, considering I haven't even watched the Worlds Collide event at all. As for All Out, I was there. I didn't buy the shirt that said I was there, so I can't prove it.
Neither did I.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm over those shirts.
Yep.
I keep meaning to get one. Like I wanted to get one for Forbidden Door, but every time I go to the booth, it's like the lines are so long. I'm just like, I'm just gonna get to my seat now. I remember I had the
Get
floor
them
seat, but
early.
I had to. Well, I mean, I couldn't because I had to
Yeah.
wait until. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Keep going.
So, like a little just aside now, and I don't know if they were doing this. I don't think they were doing this at Forbidden Door, but it looks like they're kind of starting to, if weather permits. They're opening up a merch stand outside the venue before the show starts, so you can buy your merch there. And I checked it out, and it's the same merch that they have inside at the tables too, which is basically now just like the belts, a couple figures, and the I Was There t-shirts. So you don't have to miss the show to stand in the merch line for an hour and a half. And that's actually probably a really good thing. I was heartbroken twice.
Yep.
My guys lost. I'm quickly becoming a huge Kip Sabian fan.
Love it.
He was phenomenal. Like, the match wasn't stupendous. I would love to see them play it back because I think they could both put more into it, have an even better match than they did. That said, the match was perfectly fine, especially for a pre-show match that didn't really have a great build in the story. Like, we had a little bit, and if you watched the Dark and Elevations and stuff, you knew. But Kip's been running this gimmick with a box on his head for a year. And he has more charisma than some of the wrestlers that are making 6 figures a year with a freaking box on his head. And that's talent.
Yep.
So he is my new one to watch what he does. And I have a pretty decent track record, because even though somebody can't put some respect on the Ricky Starks name, KZ.
Oh, that's what his name is.
I put respect on the name.
Yes.
I respect on the name.
You put more
I
respect
do,
than
but it's called
AEW
playing
does.
in character.
Love that man so much. And I was...
Hey, love that Danhausen. Nice.
I think we got cursed because he kind of like pointed at us on when he was leaving on a golf
He
cart.
did.
Ooh.
Danhausen almost ran me over
Danhausen
in the
cursed
golf
you
cart.
guys?
I think he cursed us, yeah.
Hey, can you tell him to please respond to my cameo message? I paid
Or let me make
99
a
cents
shirt
for that
image
shit.
for him.
I sent him a cameo message.
Go on, CJ.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
Danhausen almost ran us over with a golf cart before the whole show. And I jumped and I threw my hands up and he cursed us. So that's why the Dark Order didn't win the trios titles, and that's why Hobbs beat Ricky Starks. And so I'm coming after you, Danhausen, and your magic boots. Just be warned.
No blimp for you.
I will no longer cheer for the intergalactic mega powers. No longer. Sorry, Dan the Dad. If you know, you know.
I have so many questions. But this will be a long show, so I'll
Yes.
save it. I'll save it for Thursday.
Just look up Dan the Dad. He's not mad. He's just
I know
disappointed.
like Dan the Dad. Yeah, he's not mad.
Yeah.
He's disappointed.
Yeah. They're a tag team
Tell
when
him to come
Danhausen
to
comes to Glory Pro.
AEW. I want to see him.
Tell
fight.
AEW to book him, and I'm sure that'd be great.
Yes.
Great buys all around. But for All Out, I would probably agree with the B-. I might give it a C. I was highly disappointed in some things. I was a little disappointed in the Christian Cage and Jungle Boy play out match.
There is
It's
a
hard
reason
to
for
say
that.
that I was...
I don't know if you knew, but there is a reason for that.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
I
also a
heard-
reason for Drew rumored too, but we're not going to forgive that now, are
Yeah.
we?
No, we're not.
There you go.
No,
I mean,
because
if it was a whole reason, then just remove it off the card, because you had more than enough matches.
True.
And you just like Big Show turned Luchasaurus, so that doesn't give me warm fuzzies. I kind of knew that was happening, but that still doesn't give me warm fuzzies. And I'm not a big CM Punk fan, so the main event was ish for me. If MJF had not come out, if MJF had not returned as the Joker, which I didn't say this in our whole group, but I did kind of float this idea to Geek privately that I thought maybe Stokely played a piece in this and all of this recruiting might be MJF. I thought personally it would be like the originals versus the non-WWE, like versus the ex-WWE guys. I don't know how Morrissey plays into that, or if everybody forgot that he was a WWE guy, or if if you're
But he
over
rebuilt himself
6'6".
on Impact.
Yeah, I mean he was a big enough star on WWE. Like he wasn't a huge star, but it wasn't his biggest time. It wasn't his best time. It still existed. So
I do have just this one question. I don't know, maybe we could say it now or if this was going to be for later, but why does MGF need Stokely?
because I think that they intended him coming back against CM Punk in Chicago. If I'm writing that on paper, if you're doing that, then you're the bad guy.
But MGF doesn't need a manager.
But okay, hold on.
Period.
I don't know if you know this, but they worked together in Beyond Wrestling.
Yeah, they were together before too.
Okay, so there's
not
history
random.
between them.
This is not
Yeah.
random
Oh,
at
there's
all.
they're like super good friends. Like Stokely,
Okay, I believe that.
Stokely's contract probably has everything to do with MJF. Like they are BFF behind the scenes,
right?
And they have a lot of history in indie wrestling.
It's just this one thing if it's one thing if Maxis has like valet, like he did with Wardlow and forming his own supergroup of Pinnacle, but it's like I have never seen in my entire life watching MJF that he's ever needed a manager. It's like his words
he doesn't need a
are
talking
basically, him. Or what was I gonna say? Basically, like he is his own manager. He is his own agent.
Yeah, he's so good. He really doesn't need anybody to speak for him. He doesn't need it. But I guess in the storyline,
it's like JJ with the Horsemen. Did Flair and Tully and Arn really need a manager? No. Did it help? Like with the presentation, the cheating in the presentation of the Horsemen? You betcha.
Yeah, I like this. If on paper he's coming back as a bad guy, as a heel, then yeah, he needs something to help him be smarmy and be underhanded. I don't know how you didn't hear people chanting for MJF for the past 90 days. And know that regardless of what town you're in, All Out attracts your super fandom. Like, we're predominantly made up with people who bought these tickets the day you put them on sale before you announced one single match on the card.
I mean, we all did that for All In.
Yeah,
for those who did go.
And yeah, but like that's what I'm like. You're attracting people. You're not just attracting people from Chicago. You're attracting people from all over the world. There were people from Germany. There was someone from the UK there.
And this is why I've been begging for TK. We need a bigger fucking venue for this shit. I'm sorry, that's just my only perk with All Out. That's it.
I think they tried. There was reasons. It's always going to be in Chicago. It might always
I get if
be
it's
in
Chicago, but you need United Center.
They couldn't have the United Center.
Rosemont, but
they couldn't do the United Center, and this was the next biggest arena they could book. Honestly,
Wintrust. It's got
this is bigger than Wintrust.
As Schaumburg.
This is bigger than Wintrust.
This is the second biggest arena in the Chicago area.
Without trying like Soldier Field or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Which would obviously
biggest
be
indoor venue.
Stadium. Yeah.
See, like if AEW is gonna do like a stadium show, like I'm only saying this because it's a historic building, but I'd go with Wrigley Field for All Out at some point. If the Cubs are on the road somewhere,
well, I'm not going.
Field.
But if that's the case,
I would never book a wrestling show in an outdoor venue.
No.
Remember what happened to WrestleMania? Like what?
Last year.
Yeah, 2021. It got rained for like the first 30 minutes. Samoa Joe was in that, covering with Michael Cole. I was just like, yep, that happened.
Because Mania doesn't know what the hell, you could postpone this to another day. Even
No,
though
you can't.
No, you can't.
No, you
No,
really
you can't. Everybody kind of comes in for that weekend, and if you postpone it, then they're probably flying out on Tuesday at the latest.
I was gonna say you could have Monday Night WrestleMania.
Yeah, that would not go over well.
and then
No.
you're got USA Network furious at you because you're not running Raw like they expect you to, like
Yeah.
you're contracted to.
So
they could tape it.
so are they?
Moving on.
Are we ready
moving
for
on.
mine? Because oh boy,
Roll with
Let's
it.
hear it.
here we go. So I said B minus, and it was bumped up from a C because of MJF making his return at the end. Because I think this show, to quote MJF, was mid. There's a lot of matches that just should not have happened. I'm not gonna say they're bad matches, but this was too fucking long. It was. I'm sorry, but the Sammy and Ty versus Ruby and Ortiz match should not have been on pay-per-view. I understand it was a good match, and I know they built it up well, and it was a good, heartwarming moment, but the Team Wardlow versus, Guns and Friends should not have been on a pay-per-view. The Guns shouldn't even have been booked because there's plenty of other AEW talent that don't have a pay-per-view spot. So not only are you going to have an unnecessary match, but you're going to have an unnecessary match with people that aren't even under contract with your company. Makes sense.
I think, hold on. I think the reason for that was that, remember, originally it was supposed to be Lethal, Dutt, and Satnam Singh, and fans made it very clear they did not want to see that match.
Then don't put the goddamn match on the show!
I was about to say, don't do it.
You have too many fucking matches. That's what hurt this pay-per-view the most to me, was too many matches.
I understand that. I'm just saying, I feel there was a reason, but even I will admit that match up until the Finley, is that her name? The daughter?
Yes.
Yeah. The match was, I'll just say it was mid. Like, I expected more, especially with the Guns in there, because they are one of the best in the world. There was just something off in the match. And then the crowd felt it, and then out comes Finley, and now everyone is excited at her breaking the pencil.
I would have rather had Finley versus Sanjay. Just watch him get beat up by an 8-year-old.
I thought the Casino Ladder match confirmed what I always think about Casino Ladder matches. They're stupid, they're pointless, and the rules are stupid. The rules are stupid because you literally fucking have, while Andrade is slowly taking his fucking clothes off in the entryway, even worse than normal in a ladder match, you have Wheeler Yuta being like,
That was Roosh.
Anna Rouge,
Yeah, that was bad.
the rules of the match are stupid. They're dumb. There's no excuse for them. The match sucked.
I'll go with sucked, but it definitely.
I will go with sucked. If the match rules make no sense, the match sucks.
Honestly, whether we knew it was MJF or not, I do agree with Geek. That match was the stupidest ladder match I've ever seen in my life.
The only way you can save that match is if
Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank
that
was more watchable than
No,
that.
Yes.
that was unbearable because there was no point to it. At least with the Joker, you like.
we got
Isn't
Boombox
that
Brock,
MJF
so it was
actually?
perfectly great.
No, it wasn't. It was horrible.
You don't talk about Boombox.
We love Boombox Brock.
No, you don't.
Reverent term.
So the only way to make that match actually not be shit is if you make a rule of you can't go for the fucking piece until all wrestlers are in the ring. That's the only way you can do it. Because now you've essentially made it so the Joker, oh cool, I'm the Joker. Oh shit, fucking somebody, ran up and just grabbed the poker chip. It's over. Fucking stupid. Someone should have told Tony Khan that this is stupid, but that seems to be a problem. More on that later. This was dumb. The show was not
Doesn't War Games have a rule that once all the competitors are in, it's an official match?
Correct.
Yes. Submit or surrender then.
Same with Blood and Guts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like War Games.
Blood and Guts is War Games. Just they don't have the...
I know. I'm just saying that AEW does have that rule. It's just they don't use it for the Casino Ladder. Look, they could have easily fixed it if they didn't bring Roosh and Andrade back to back against each other. If they put Darius in, no, I'm serious. That whole interaction with like Roosh is like trying to adjust the ladder. Am I going to go up? No, I'm not, because Andrade's taking his slow time.
But still, it makes no sense.
Fix that by having Darius come out next and then Andrade.
You could have also fixed it by not making someone able to win the match before the last person. And this is TNA levels of stupid stipulations. But moving on, the show was paced like complete dog shit. Like, if you're gonna have this many fucking matches, you gotta pace it better, and it was paced like crap. I
I
love.
thought they did a better job at pacing this one than they have in the past.
Doesn't have in the past, but still, it was still bad because to me, Jericho and Bryan had a great technical wrestling match, but nobody cared because once you see 7 top rope fuckinators in a 6-man tag match, it's not well paced. People would have been into that if that would have been the second match or the opener or something along that nature.
Revolution 2021 had better pacing, and that's the worst pay-per-view AEW's put on.
Yes.
Does that explain deathmatch?
The barbed
Yes.
wire death
Yeah.
match.
I don't know. Was that the worst? Oh, no, we're not getting into it. We're not getting into it. We're not getting into it.
So kind of moving on from that, the 6-man tag match was good. It should have been later on the card, and it's kind of funny, because of what would later transpire. I put out a tweet saying, so the EVPs were the inaugural champions. Last time that happened, the person doing that buried his competition, was an egotistical piece of shit for booking themselves to be the inaugural champion, and because of him, Lance Archer sucks. So, can we get mad at the Elite for burying the Dark Order and call them egotistical pricks? Just saying. Just
Not
saying.
yet.
No. I'm just saying the answer is no.
Yeah.
No.
Gary disagree because I'm okay with them.
I know.
I'm okay with them having.
Disagree.
I'm okay with them having the belts because, I get the logic. It's fine doing that. I just love the blatant hypocrisy of it's morally wrong for an EVP to be the first champion, but when the EVPs you like are the first champion, it's perfectly acceptable. So
that is legit. That is a fair call out. Okay, I can totally agree with you on it. That is a fair call out.
But it wasn't a bad match. I really think, especially because in the last few weeks they were saying that Kenny is not quite back up to form. It would have been, to me, a more interesting story had he lost and been like, Kenny was hurt and he's still they could have really built to a singles moment of, and here's Kenny again. I feel like they missed out on that, but I get it. They're the Elite. They're they are what they are, and it's not a bad choice. I just IWC hypocrisy, and I feel like you're leaving good storytelling on the table.
But I also want to admit again there was great storytelling in the match between Hangman not wanting Dark Order to actually hurt the Bucks or Kenny, and then Matt doing the reverse of Full Gear with saying you're not taking the titles this time, and also I know that this has technically happened before, but ever since Kenny's come back, the whole "and now" bit is the best thing.
That
ever.
was good. I did enjoy that.
He is Kevin Nash's new favorite wrestler, and probably is Will Ospreay's too. I'm like, and Justin Roberts, God bless that man. He sells it every time.
Am I the 1% that's starting to get annoyed with those? It was better when he was a heel.
Yes,
but he's now a hero. It's I really don't want those intros anymore.
He's walking the line. He's not full hero because he's got Callis with him, and he's doing,
Fuck on Callis.
I know exactly.
I had Dan Lambert back. I'm sorry,
but
going all out with
to kind of move on a little bit from there. I thought that obviously my match of the night was the tag title match. Dude, we were in our section everybody was so hot for the Acclaimed. But still, I'm not mad about them losing because this was a perfect example of somebody being made in defeat. This was. Sometimes you need this to happen. It just means that the Acclaim were made now. Sometimes.
And when they win the titles, it'll be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was one of the few people. I was one of the few people who wanted Swerve in Our Glory from start to finish. My only request for this match, and this is me knocking AEW, which can happen. Just saying. The last / first title defense of Swerve in Our Glory was against Private Party. It was 6 minutes. And I hated that to the ends of the earth. And I'm like, please just be over 10 minutes at the pay-per-view. It was over 22, and it was the match of the night for many people. And I was like, thank you.
Match too.
Minus
the main event.
Yeah, it was the main event, trios titles, and I think Bryan and Jericho almost went 20. I think it's been a while.
Yeah.
So he says on Tuesday. It's been a while. It feels like forever.
So to the main event. People who regularly listen to our live stream and our Just Us Marks Thursday show are going to feel like they're, living out deja vu, but I stand by all of my criticisms of all of that. I feel like I get it, but I feel like when you as a company and you as your fan base hype up that you don't do short title reigns and you don't bastardize story for a ratings pop and this, that, and the other. Um, there should this should just been the unification match. You could have done. I said this on the Thursday show. You could have had all of this storyline play out with Punk's foot and him not knowing who he was and the pep talk and all of that jazz. You could have done that without having Jon Moxley get a short title reign and then having CM Punk win it back. You could have just had the unification match in Chicago, CM Punk win, and go from there. The match itself was okay. It wasn't a bad match, but it was just kind of a lull. Punk wins a little bit. You're in Chicago, and other than the MJF match, like Punk's gonna get the moment, and that's fine. I get it. They're in Punk's hometown, but when you already before all this transpired, thought that CM Punk was kind of not the best wrestler anymore, and don't connect with him, and kind of think he's a POS IRL. You're not quite as touched by that moment, but it was brought up with the end with MJF. I thought the whole video package with the voicemail was great.
I'm glad you said it,
That
'cause
voicemail
I had a
actually
person.
recording it?
I had a person say to me like they didn't like the voicemail, but I'm like, how? It
No, that
sells the
voicemail
moment.
tied everything in.
Yes.
You know what's interesting? No one on the socials, like, they posted like the return video, but they didn't include the voicemail. I'm like, wait,
I
wanna
found
see
it.
that when they're
I
talking.
found it. I'll see if I can find it again.
Okay,
I'll
good.
send it to you when we're done recording. But yeah, that part was good. This pay-per-view was all fucking over the place. This pay-per-view was the epitome of what's good and what's terrible about AEW all in one. And I think it was too much. There was too many things that didn't need to happen, especially on a pay-per-view. I get the fact that it's, you got to give people their money's worth, but, when people get tired. And, I had this critique of when I was at WrestleMania 35 and watching previous WrestleManias that went this long. Same shit applies. This was too much. And
Mania's where you at?
I was at Mania 35 and then just watching what I just watched the other ones on TV and I'm just watching them from home going like this is way too fucking long. I felt Double or Nothing was too long. I stand by all these critiques. The show itself, again, it wasn't a bad show. I gave it a B-. I'm gonna stick with that grade. Only because of MJF, it would have been a C had it not been because of MJF. As far as comparing it to Clash at the Castle, Clash at the Castle just barely gets over. I didn't like the idea to have Drew lose and then sing like Lex, the Lex Luger equivalent, but getting Lugered as it's been put on other podcasts. But if Drew's also hurt, hey, we're standing up for other decisions that maybe weren't the best. So maybe that was done out of necessity. But everything else on there, I didn't like Judgment Day losing, but I like Dominic turning. The women's match on there, Shayna and Liv Morgan, it wasn't great, but like I love the story going in. It had a better story than what AEW built with the women's division. Seth and Matt Riddle had a great story. Was a good match, and this is coming from someone who never liked Matt Riddle. And the best match of the weekend was still Gunther Walter versus Sheamus. Like, that's top 3 of the year so far for me. So, just on that long, like I felt like Clash was better paced. didn't have unnecessary filler matches, and yeah. If Drew would have won the title, even if he wasn't hurt and could win the title, it would have been a significantly wider margin.
All right. I did do my review of Clash, so I'll do it really quick. I watched the whole thing, and I have been eager to see the shift, like from Vince to Triple H. And SummerSlam was like the middle ground because it was Vince's matches but Triple H's booking, which we saw in the main event, which I didn't like, but whatever. This was easily the best WWE pay-per-view I've seen in a long time, and including Royal Rumbles, WrestleManias, a long time. The ending just killed it for me. Like, I didn't even get to the karaoke section because the moment that Drew lost, I turned it off. I could not handle it. Like, that's how angry I was. It was wrong in every sense. You had two hometown heroes. You had Sheamus, you had McIntyre. One of them should have won. Like, they kept emphasizing this is the first UK show in decades, literally 3 decades. And they even showed the last time they had the show, they had the hometown hero and British Bulldog beat Bret Hart, and the place went bananas. Drew was the perfect person to beat Roman for the title. Then they could have separated the titles again because they absolutely need to do that. But they had it. They let it go for the dumbest reason. I don't give a crap about Solo Sikoa. I do not. And but it's he's adding to the bloodline. He could have done that after the loss to make sure he didn't lose again. The story would have been the same, except the right person would have won. You had 62,000 people chanting McIntyre, singing his name, and you screw him after he helped you through the Thunderdome era. Screw Roman Reigns. He was the one who helped you through the Thunderdome era. He was the Moxley version of I have the title, but I don't have an audience, but I will make it work because I have to. He deserved it, and they screwed him. And if he was hurt, maybe I might give that to him. But he went. That was like almost a 30. I think that was a 30-minute match. So he clearly wasn't hurt enough to not do a 30-minute match. So I
don't disagree with that, but I still just say that because there wasn't a bunch of they didn't prance out, like, oh well, let's have a filler match with all this, let's have a nothing happening match so we can make it 5 hours. And I appreciate that. Everything on the card was well built up. It was short, sweet, to the point.
Oh yeah, I acknowledge that lengthwise it was fine, but this is also the contrast between AEW and WWE. WWE has pay-per-views like every month versus AEW, who has the main 4 and then their TV shows. I don't always agree with overstuffing in the card. I definitely could pick out 2 or 3 matches from All Out to take out, but I understand why they do that. Whereas with this one, especially since it was a Cardiff show and they had to send people overseas and then bring them back for Worlds Collide and Raw and SmackDown and whatever, I can understand why they did a shorter show, but an impactful show. You had like multiple matches going 20 minutes. A 6-woman tag, Sheamus versus Walter, the main event. I think Riddle, Seth almost went 20 minutes. They made up for it in length of matches versus number of matches. So it's just a balancing act.
Are they not having a Raw show in the UK?
What?
Are they not having a Raw show in the UK?
No, it was back in the States.
No, it was in like Kansas City or something.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because Tiffany was there. Yeah, it was in Kansas City.
All right, so we got to move on to what probably everybody wanted to hear us talk about.
Oh yeah.
Oh God. Breaking it out.
Yeah, crack that one open, buddy.
Do you want me to start while you chug?
Oh no, I'm not gonna chug. I'm gonna have to make this last while this goes on. But so there was a media scrum, and the shit hit the fan, and we're gonna go around the horn. Todd, we'll start with you this time. Let's hear what you thought about it, and then we'll go to someone else.
Okay, so I want to break down the timeline for me. Okay, I have been either at my computer or on my bed when I was watching Worlds Collide, literally the whole day. I was either doing work or watching wrestling. That was my entire day. All right. All Out gets done. I thought it had a great ending with the main event and MJF. I didn't get to mention this, but I definitely put All Out over above Clash. But it was much closer than usual. Much closer than usual. So I'm like, okay, done. And I never watch the media scrum. I never do. I mean, I know that things happen there. I know interesting things are said and all that. And there's a bunch of quotes outside the stuff we're about to talk about. But I have a group that I talk AEW with, and actually Geek. That was actually the two people that I invited on,
Yeah.
asked if you wanted to have on the show. That was them. And so
There'd just be too many people on one stream.
and that's fine. No, it's totally good. I totally understand. And I actually have insider information from the guy that I can easily drop here. But 10 minutes after the show, like I start getting messages from the guys like, "Hey, did you hear what CM Punk is saying?" I'm like, "No, I'm not watching the media scrum." And so it was like, 10 minutes go by. This is what CM Punk said. 20 minutes go by. Like Punk's getting a lot of heat. 30 minutes go by. Something happened with the Elite. 40 minutes go by. And it's just like every 10 minutes or so, something is happening. I mean, the media scrum is still going on at this point. It was like an hour and a half. And everything is just blowing up. And we're like, everyone's talking about it. Everyone is divided. It's like, is this a work? Is this real? Why did he shoot on Cabana? Why did he, call out Hangman? Why did he bury the Elite like he did? Was something wrong with CM Punk, like mentally, right before? Because remember, he just had a main event in front of his home crowd where he just won the title back, had a great ending moment with MJF. He should have been the happiest in the world. And he had a bug up his butt, and he went off like he did. Fast forward to Sunday, everything is still going on.
You mean Monday?
All right,
Monday.
I'm
Well, I
totally
had that problem
timeline.
too with the long
I'm
weekend.
totally lost on the timeline. But yeah, Monday happens. All these new details are coming out. SRS is going crazy with this in the good way. He's a journalist, good guy. Denise is better, but it's like more details and more details and more details, and everybody's like, is this a work? Is this real? What's the truth? What's blurring the lines? And even coming up to right when we were recording this podcast, we're still getting details. Like an hour or so ago, they just dropped an article about what Punk and Ace Steel's side of things were, which we hadn't heard, to be honest. And it's just like, more and more details. We have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow night on Dynamite, which usually is like the best thing because it's like, ooh, anticipation, excitement. But now it's like, no, what is going on? What is Punk fired? Like, what's going to happen with the Elite? Is there going to be lawsuits again? Like, it is absolute craziness. I have no idea how to feel about everything because I don't know the whole story. That's just the truth. I wasn't there, so I can't say, this was clearly this person was in the wrong, or the Elite was wrong to do this to Punk, or Punk was an idiot, and Ace Steel shouldn't have bitten somebody. That's a sentence I did not think I would say in 2022. I did not even know Ace Steel existed a week ago, and that's just the truth. And it's just such a nuts thing. I mean, we could have easily spent a whole podcast just talking about it all out and like what was the good, what was the bad, what was the ugly compared to Clash and Worlds Collide. But no, we're now talking about a media scrum and everything that happened because of that. What is going on? What is going on? Also, for the record, for all you haters out there, no, AEW is not going to die because of this. Just stop it. This is bad. I will not lie. This is bad, but this is not going to be the end of AEW. It's just a weekend that should have gone one way that went the complete other direction. So that's about where I'm at.
All right. Easy. What about you?
Can I go last? Actually, I'm still trying to think of my words.
Okay, CJ.
I appreciate that.
CJ, you're up. I'm just gonna warn you, I may really blow shit up, and
No,
so
I'll
might
go
CJ.
Again, I'm just still trying to look for my words.
So we were obviously on our way, out of the parking lot, sitting there watching people wrestle in the grass.
Saw a phenomenal sign that said Cornette likes to watch.
Yeah, just communitying with AEW fans, as we
Good
all
one. Good AEW fans.
Yeah, as some other assholes tried to take us out to get out of the parking lot 1 second faster than we were. So we weren't obviously watching the media scrum or what was going on feet from us at the time, until somebody here, Easy, goes, "Hey, Punk's kind of losing his mind." And so we get back to the hotel room and I play it live. And at this point, CM Punk is gone. So By
And
my
then
chain of events, I
feeds
watch.
to see the videos.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I watch like the little clips of like some of the things he said, and I'm like, let's just watch the rest of it and see what the fuck is going on here. So I come in during Tony Storm, and of course, this is one, how it happened on my timeline, and for two, a scale of escalation in like menial things versus like big deals. This is kind of lost on everybody. Tony Storm didn't know who else was on the roster with her, because they're asking her, you know, like, now that you're the champion, like, how would you, what do you want to do? How are you going to handle Thunder Rosa when she comes back? She dropped a line that says, if she is injured, implying that Tony herself, as a lot of other people have kind of hinted at, think that she might not actually be injured and it's a work.
It's not a work.
Yeah,
Not.
I don't know. I don't know, but it seems like there's a little bit of a disconnect in the women's roster as well as the men's.
Shock.
Yeah, I know everybody's shocked about that. She also didn't know who else was on the roster, because people were asking her, you know, who would you like to work with, and she's like, oh, you know, I'm really interested in meeting and getting to know everyone here that you've worked with for more than 6 months. Like, you haven't bothered to. She didn't know Jamie Hayter. She knew Britt. Wasn't interested in working with her again. I get it. Didn't know Serena Deeb. She's like, that's the one I was thinking about. Like, Serena Deeb is a trainer for the women's division, so I'm not sure how you haven't at least had an introduction enough to know who she is. That surprised me. That was like, okay. You know, I don't know if anybody else watched. I watched Tony Khan talking to Brandon Thurston on WrestleNomics. Tony was very, very calm for a while, and then Brandon asked him some questions about the buy rates and how he expected things to do, and he's like, well, obviously, you know, it's not going to be like All Out last year, which was record numbers for them. Obviously, it was CM Punk's first match in so many years, and all these extra things, all the hype that was built up. You're never going to top that. He thinks it's probably going to do like double or nothing from this year numbers, and he's talking about that. And another question gets asked about the numbers from the WrestleNomics guy, which is totally understandable. And Tony Khan kind of loses it. And he talks about how last year he didn't have any competition, and he isn't going to put up with this shit, and he's fucking serious. And the way he looks into the crowd was like the level of anger that CM Punk had in his thing. And I'm just kind of wondering what Tony Khan expected. Did you expect that because you did so well that you were never going to have any competition on any of your shows? Because this is what the E does.
I think the reason he blew up, and this is me speculating, obviously, because I remember that clip. Like, that was one of the ones I was referencing earlier. I think he has honestly been very honest about WWE in the past in terms of, like, when Vince left. I'm sorry, when Vince got kicked out, he's like, hey, they're doing better now, and I'm happy about that, because that raises everybody. When they're doing good, you know, we'll do good, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. He's honest with them when he thinks they suck, and he's honest with them when he thinks they're doing great. And he said another part of the line, like, I've said great things about them, and I don't get the same feedback. We just remember, like, a few days ago, which now again seems forever ago, we heard Triple H say, oh yeah, AEW beat NXT, great job, you beat our developmental brand, even though he's quoted multiple times saying NXT was never developmental outside of maybe like that first year. And he wishes that they had the same level of decorum that, ironically enough, he has been giving to them. And then booking Cardiff and Worlds Collide, which could have been totally another week. You know, if you have to do Cardiff because of timing and whatever, I can understand that. Worlds Collide could have been any week, but they did it literally 3 hours before All Out. It ended 40 minutes before All Out did, and I'm sure that ticked off Tony, because it's like, really? Like,
okay, but whose company takes shots at the other one on their television almost every week? You can Tony Khan can say nice things on Twitter sometimes, but he also uses that same platform to criticize them and be like, oh yeah, and my product, da 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 da. He took the opportunity, he took the opportunity to say like, oh, maybe the product will get better. He also took the opportunity to say, I'm now the longest running CEO of wrestling.
That was great. I'm sorry. That was great.
Well, he also discounted like Billy Corgan and some other people who were running promotions before he started AEW. So he kind of shit on some little people. So there's that. But AEW takes shots at WWE every chance they get. Like, you can't say I played nice, I've been nothing but nice to them, and they treated me bad. It's the wrestling business. It's not wrestling friends, it's wrestling business. And don't be surprised when the competition comes for you. I'm not surprised when another financial institution tries to undercut our rates. I'm not surprised by that. I'm not hurt personally by that. And I'm not going on my Twitter and being like, well, they're offering a better rate and I'm just not going to fucking stand for it. I'm just not. Because that's not how you present your business as the owner of the company. Like, that had CM Punk level vibes to me. Like, that comes off bad. Like, you can feel that way. I get it. You feel like Jim Crockett. I see the correlations that you're making. I'm not saying they're unfounded. I'm saying the way you come out with it is a bad look. Just like the way Triple H came out about it, saying like, oh, now NXT is the developmental brand. Tony Khan doesn't have to say that. The internet will say that. Like, let the people speak for you. You don't got to call that out. You can be the bigger person here. So now let's go to the ultimate in being the bigger person, and CM Punk just sitting there eating a muffin. I thought he was going to throw it at Dave Meltzer. Just going off on Hangman and the Young Bucks and everyone. He didn't just bury the people that he called out in Colt Cabana, which was way more than needed to be said. You kept your mouth shut for 10 years on that subject. You really didn't need to placate it anymore. And in my opinion, CM Punk brought that on himself. Those questions weren't being asked until the news report came out that he isolated a fan and picked on the fan for chanting Colt Cabana at him. It happens all the time. It's happened for years. You just ignore it because you're a fucking professional. You move on, and none of this happens. If it gets asked randomly, if it gets asked randomly in a media scrum, you're like, that's old news. Can we please talk about something more relevant, like the incredible match I just had with Jon Moxley? Can we talk about the new, even if you don't want to put them over, the new trios tag team champs? Can we talk about the excellent tag match that happened today? If you don't want to self-deprecate yourself, just keep your mouth shut. You didn't have to do that. He's sitting there telling the media that he works with children as he's throwing a 3-year-old's temper tantrum. And that's a really bad look. That's a really bad look for him as an adult. That's a really bad look for his boss who's sitting right next to him, freaking out in the eyes, not saying a word. And it's a really bad look for the company. It's not a good look for anybody. It really doesn't help anybody saying it's a works, because we all heard that the media were told days in advance to, you want to be sure you're here. This is going to be a big deal. And then, so they all show up and this is what happens. Like, it's odd. The whole situation is odd. And if it's real, it's a horrible, horrible look for AEW. And if it's fake, it's not a really good one. It still doesn't come across well if this is the real thing. It's not good. And the fallout afterwards is an even worse look. And you're looking potentially to have to strip vacate, do whatever to 4 of your champions, considering they were all involved in a fight, they all acted like children, and they all need to be punished.
Yeah, I don't. You're definitely right that the worst thing about this is the wait for a response. Like I've heard from Meltzer and SRS and all that, and they've said, you know, they can't talk about it because it possibly has to do with legal issues, which is never a good thing. And they're trying to keep it under wraps until they can figure it out. And like they said, like a few hours before the podcast we're recording, there was a lot of confirmation that there was going to be a meeting between TK and Punk about what is going to happen, which I appreciate. There absolutely should have been a meeting because both sides absolutely need to be heard on this no matter what. But the fact that we're still like, I really thought I would have heard something like right before this podcast because that's where everything was leading. And then SRS has had to make multiple tweets online stating, there is nothing official yet. No one is talking. Why is no one talking though? I mean, outside of the main six, the Elite, Steel, Punk, and TK, someone should be talking right now about what is going on. Like, there are reports that a lot of the AEW wrestlers, they don't know how Punk can survive this based on what they know. And this is even pro Punk people, of which there are apparently quite a few in AEW who prefer him over the Elite, including FTR and Proud and Powerful. So the fact that we're still waiting for something is very curious, and that this makes it even more interesting in like the bad way about what's going to happen tomorrow night. Because if things go the way I think they will, the show is going to start with TK in the ring holding the belt, cursing out CM Punk in his very I might be on cocaine kind of way, and trying to move on, which would be awesome for the memes. But I don't know if that's good for AEW as a whole.
It's not good business.
It's not good business. All right, Easy. Have you found your words?
Yes, and like when we talk about a pay-per-view, like the fallout of something, we talk about, yeah, as someone mentioned, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if I'm honestly gonna give my rating for this pay-per-view, it's a D. I'm sorry, but I just did not think this lived up to its expectations. Now that is what I'm hoping that this could have been, but it's not. Now, normally not really do I watch the media scrums. I really just don't give two shits about the media scrums. And it does kind of sting a little bit considering, I've studied journalism in college before, but my God, I don't know where the fuck to begin with this. Like, okay, if Punk was pissed off about something, sure. But there's three things to note here. One is the reporter who did ask the question about Scott Colton. Why is that the number one thing you want to ask someone that just had a main event of their life? Probably like the biggest like, I guess, great reaction he had to winning a championship since he won Money in the Bank from John Cena. So again, like, I really have to throw, that reporter out there who asked that. It's like, why would you do that? You kind of sparked something. Now, yes, as we mentioned, Punk could have just brushed off. You're like, look, I don't talk to him anymore. I'm not here to discuss anything. Just, it's not comfortable. I'm here to talk about All Out. That's how you end it. No, actually. Instead, Punk is not just throwing fuel in the fire. He is throwing the entire gas station into the bonfire. This went insane. And when I was watching the clips, my jaw dropped. And then I immediately just go to the scrum and be like, what the fuck is going on? And like, this is the first time I'm at a loss of words. And then when I hear that, like, oh, this was like a work shoot or a shoot work, it's like, okay, I'm sorry, but stop. There's a fine line between this is pro wrestling and this is reality here. When MJF threw in his pipe bomb, everyone had speculated this was either a shoot work or a work shoot or whatever, or he was just blowing off some steam. That made us very intrigued. And especially with MJF's return, making it confirm, he's back. He's going to be, champ one day. And we, obviously we all knew he was the Joker. And I forgot to mention that with All Out, but I was very happy to see the most punchable face in pro wrestling back again. But this got completely overshadowed with Punk going off, and especially, yeah, as CJ put it, like he was acting like a fucking 3-year-old here. And then I low key kind of see why Geek hates him. But it's also just, what the fuck, man? Like, you literally could have just shut up, just say, move on. And then another guy I really unfortunately have to call out is Tony Khan. How the hell do you not have any sort of leadership or stability or any sort of mannerism to set an example to everybody? Hey, this is a company that you work for. Don't be acting like fucking children. If we need a mediator for this, okay, let's settle our fucking differences. At least when the case with Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston, when they had a little backstage brawl, suspensions were made to Eddie Kingston, and then Eddie apologized, and so did Sammy. They reconciled. Voila, they can move on. This, however, egos were all over the place. And whatever happens backstage between, like, Kenny, the Bucks, Punk, and Ace Steel for fucking biting, like, really, dude? Like, what are you, a cannibal? Like, whether he said, like, he was trying to protect his wife who was in the same room, I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, what the hell was all that about? So, the Elite, they do have a reason to be mad about wondering, hey, why the hell were we called out here? Like, we didn't even do his damn thing. The Hangman thing, whatever hatchet you still have against him, time to bury it. Like, this is seriously embarrassing. And especially with just a string of bad timing coming up, especially where people, they're more speculating about what the hell is going on as we speak than with Dynamite. I was even contemplating about going to see Dynamite in Buffalo, which is literally just down the road from Cleveland, Ohio. It's just embarrassing and wondering, is there really going to be anything that's going to happen? Are there really going to be any suspensions considering you have your top guy and your EVPs? Like, of course, I don't think TK is even going to suspend anybody. He's just going to quietly think, oh, this will be under the wraps or everything will be solved or all that. It's like, no, you actually have to step up as a fucking boss. I don't care, like, who it is. If this was any of our mid-carders, like, let's just say hypothetically, FTR got into a real-life fight with, let's say, Darby Allin. And if fists were thrown and people got pissed off, there would be suspensions between those three. But the fact that it's Punk and the Bucks and Kenny, I doubt anybody's going to be, like, reprimanded about this. Probably Ace Steel, because nobody knows who the fuck he is. Even the city of Chicago forgot who he was. This is seriously a black eye on the company, and you need to fix something. You need a locker room leader, and I doubt Eddie Kingston probably would have solved the situation, but somebody needs to say, shut up, both of you. Why is this even still on your mind when you're out there fighting for people who pay great tickets for a great experience because we love professional wrestling? This is fucking embarrassing to your company. TK's got to do something about it. Otherwise, and I do agree with Todd that AEW is not going to die, but AEW is going to go on a downfall. Like, you're not going to get your million viewers each week. You're going to be getting TNA numbers if you don't do a damn thing. And that is how pissed off I am with the leadership that's going on. I just really don't understand this. So fucking fix this before Full Gear so we can have a better pay-per-view. I'm done.
All right. Well,
Tell us how you really feel.
oh,
Well, let's start from the top again.
It's like
God knows.
easy. I'm sensing that you have some inner trauma that we need to talk about, but this is a changing day in your life.
well, here's
All right.
mine, which, whew, oh boy,
This
here we
is why
go.
we drink, people,
This is
except
why
me.
And me.
I got a Coke in my hand, but oh my god, I need it.
I'm
Not
a
the-
Dr. Pepper.
and not the Coke that Tony Khan's on. Hey-o.
Hey-o!
Hey-o!
So here's my take on the first thing. I'm going to get this out of the way first because I know everybody's. everybody kind of comes up with this is like a but the Elite, but Hangman, but Colt Cabana. So I'm gonna get all this shit out of the way here now before I go on what everybody who watches the show regularly and knows how I feel about CM Punk, kind of give you what you're wanting to hear. So, should Hangman have gone into business for himself? No. Should there probably have been better communication going, hey, don't bring that up? Yes. I don't understand why everybody's so, yay, Colt Cabana, let's stand up for him, when really nobody cared about Colt Cabana that much until these sorts of things were brought up in promos. So, while I'd like to say I'm glad I have other people in the IWC on my side about not being a fan of CM Punk, don't just have the moral shifts because you feel like fandom dictates you do. Do you honestly care about Colt Cabana? Do you really feel that passion? If you do, great. If you don't, then don't just try and look cool right now. And one thing, and I know in private conversations, CJ and Todd and I have kind of brought this up. I've always kind of felt about the Young Bucks, maybe not quite as much Kenny, but he's in there, that the Young Bucks really never left their kind of independent hipster sort of mentality of caring about clout and stars and vibes and all those sorts of kind of things that are going on. They just want to be this. Look at how intelligent and how in on the joke and all the funny things we can do to pop Twitter and pop YouTube. I never thought they completely got over that. And now that AEW, is a bigger company, you gotta kind of put some stuff over what Dave gives you for a star rating, or trying to endear yourself to the IWC and endear yourself for Twitter clout. That's got to be put in the rearview mirror. It's hate to say it, you're in the big time now. Act like it. So some of those things I feel, it's all speculation. This could all be wrong. But some of those things that I was kind of criticizing the Bucks about have been confirmed, or at least speculated to have been confirmed. And they were in the wrong. They shouldn't be leaking information to Dave Meltzer. They shouldn't be doing anything like that. They 100% have fault in all this. I'll go so far as to say half of this is their fault. Now let me tell you about CM Punk. So this guy, who just had a big moment or a big match with a big storyline to go off on the pay-per-view, first thing he wants to do is go like a little crybaby and bitch about this stuff. If you're a fucking professional, you don't fucking do that. You just don't. This wouldn't be tolerated in any other workplace, and I don't understand why fucking CM Punk thinks he's above all that shit. It's something that I've always kind of got the vibe of about CM Punk. It's something I've always heard about CM Punk. It's something I've seen CM Punk do in other interviews, which is why when, oh my god, CM Punk's coming back, I could have given two shits. Yeah. So everything that Punk went off on, he shouldn't have, and two, in some cases, he's a fucking hypocrite. So he goes off on Colt Cabana, airs all this dirty laundry. Hey, I get, he could have, if he would have just left it at his little, I don't care where he sleeps, I don't care where he works, I don't care where he eats statement, that would have been firm and fair enough to shut all that fucking shit down. There would have been no need to continue. He could have said that, and then anytime somebody else brought up, he could have done like T.O.'s agent in that infamous press conference in the NFL. Next question. I ain't talking about that. Next question. Next question. And I would have respected it. So then he goes off on the Bucks and Kenny about doing that. Hey, I get that. Get you pissed off. I've been saying if this is true, because this is the vibe I got. If all this is true, yeah, it's bullshit. I agree with you. You know what you do, Punk? You wait until after the press conference and go, "We got a fucking problem, you guys." That's what you do. It's what professional does. It's what I have to do if I have umbrage with anybody at my job, or if CJ does, or if Eric does, or if Todd does. If you got an issue, you've got a problem, you hash it out privately like a professional, and then take the proper. If that doesn't work, then you escalate to where you need to be. But the one that just really chapped my ass the most was him going off on Hangman Page, saying Hangman Page went into business for himself in that interview, and this, that, and the other, and he, this moron. The one thing I will take with say is completely unjustified with the Elite and Hangman, which I feel like he kind of rolled into one, was people who haven't done anything. This wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Elite, and Cody. I'll throw Cody in there too. I know that's still unpopular to say, but it's true. This company wouldn't have existed for you to come back to wrestling had it not been for the work they put in. Did they win WWE championships and wrestle at WrestleMania and do the things that Punk did in the business? No. But to say they did nothing, it's kind of coming across like the butthurt WWE guy. It's like, you didn't do anything. It's what he sounded like. But when he said, got pissed off about, oh, well, Hangman Page, feels like he's too, what kind of idiot doesn't want to listen to the veterans? CM Punk bragged and got a bunch of people going, yeah, look at how cool you are for talking about, I didn't take Shawn Michaels' advice, I didn't take The Undertaker's advice, I didn't take Triple H's advice. And CM Punk also on several occasions went into business for himself on the independents, maybe in WWE, but definitely on the independents. In IWA Mid-South, they never had a regular commentary crew. Everything was live to tape, and they had whoever they could just do commentary while the other matches were going on. And CM Punk would get on commentary in IWA Mid-South and bury anybody he didn't like. Get them blackballed and talk about how they're actually not that good and this, that, and the other, and insult them, and it's okay, in a world where we want to dig up everything on everybody, nobody seems to want to dig up that shit on CM Punk. So CM Punk has made a career from bragging about not taking veterans' advice that he didn't feel like taking the advice from, and everybody thinks that's cool, and he thinks that's cool, and going into business for himself, and that's called pipe bombs and being an entertained commentator, and boy, what a rebel! Isn't CM Punk sure great? So now CM Punk is pissed off and mad about people doing the same thing. The people that were probably influenced by CM Punk to get into the wrestling business, doing exactly what he did. Yeah, fuck you, dude. Seriously, you if you're gonna point, the old saying, if you're gonna point a finger, you got 4 pointing right back at you, and that's exactly what CM Punk's doing. You could have handled this in many different ways, and instead you chose not to, and instead you took away from something that could be actually very, very, very good for the company, which is MJF coming back and challenging you for the belt. Some money can be made off of this. And that's not what you're concerned about. That's not what you want to do. No, it's all got to be about you and your problems. What else needs said?
Well, there is one thing. Multiple people, including SRS and certain other wrestling, what do you want to call them, insiders, specialists, whatever, they feel they have said, let me revise, they have said that in their minds, the best way to go forward with this is to literally bury the hatchet in the wrestling ring. As in, to use everything that's happened, do the apologies, whatever, and then make it the Elite versus Punk and make a lot of money off of it.
Okay. So
yeah.
so fuck MJF and fuck these other stories. Let's do this now.
No. They didn't say that. They remember MJF has the poker chip. We don't know when he's going to cash that in. There is no limit on, and we know MJF, he's going to wait his bloody freaking time. That's how he plays the game. So they can make like the next month about Elite versus Punk, and then say, let's just say, Elite beats down Punk, but Punk gets a victory, and then MJF comes in and goes, hey, I'm your next opponent in 2 weeks at Full Gear or whatever. And all of a sudden, MJF looks like a freaking genius. Let's just play it like that, okay?
CM Punk needs CM Punk and maybe even the Elite need some fucking time off if this is all true. They all need some time off.
Honestly, yeah. That's why I say
Eddie Kingston did
them.
a fraction of all of this, and he got suspended. What makes all of those guys any better? If you do not do some kind of action like that, if you do not take that kind of a stand, then you are sending a message to your locker room. Hey, if you're somebody we don't care about, we'll throw the book at you. But if you're somebody we like, it's okay. Fucking come take a shit on my desk too while you're at it.
And you're also kind of putting it out into your locker room like, hey, if you and your buddy decide to have a physical fight, you'll get pushed. And that's a really bad look for the rest of the guys in the locker room. But moreover, from, top guys getting better treatment, I would not put these guys in the ring together because you've got to trust the person that you're in the ring with.
True.
Especially with Young Buck style and Kenny style. Every single thing that they do is a potential broken neck and death. And that's just the way it is. Like, Big E broke his neck on a very simple move that we see every week on both shows. Everybody does it. This is a very, very dangerous business, and you got to trust the people that you're working with.
That's why Shawn and Brett couldn't get into a match, because they didn't trust each other.
True.
Eddie and Sammy came back and apologized and admitted how they were wrong, and they worked through it, and yet they did not go forward with a match that they had already planned and announced at the pay-per-view.
No match was needed for those two.
Well,
they already had one at Blood and Guts. That was it.
Well, but they had announced
prior
it
to the suspension.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna take the real life and make money with it, then that was your opportunity, because these guys in the back had decided they buried the hatchet. And it was Sammy understands why Eddie got mad, and Eddie understands that he overreacted and that Sammy's young and they need to communicate better. It was it was a 2 on the scale from 1 to 10. And we're sitting here at a 10 and like, oh, we should do an angle with this and it'll make money. No, it'll get people permanently hurt. And you've already got reports.
This is honestly no better than what WWE did with real life situations before. Like Eddie's
exactly.
Or the worst example was when Lita legitimately in real life cheated on Matt Hardy with Edge. They thought, hey, let's make an angle out of it. That is the lowest low. It doesn't just hurt your business. It's hurting the real life legitimacy between Matt Hardy, Edge, and especially Lita, who's caught in the middle of this.
But kind of to get back is like all the people going like, oh, it's work, LOL, Tony Khan's laughing at all you people because of what a work it is. First of all, I put this out on Twitter, and a lot of people got really like, oh, you don't understand wrestling, boy, and whatever. But let me put this out. You're a company with a contract with a network coming up. Do you really think it's in your best interest to try and work the whole, like tell the whole audience, no, we legit have like this much turmoil, and on top of that, potentially work the boys and girls? into thinking that this is legit a toxic environment? You think a network is going to think that's a stable company we should give a bigger contract to? Hell nah.
I was actually almost going to bring up that none of us have mentioned Warner Brothers Discovery. They're going to be monitoring this big time, and especially with these small rumors that whether or not they still want to support AEW.
Yeah, there's rumor and innuendo that the Discovery does not like the type of is trying to get away from the sort of programs like this on their networks. This ain't a good look.
If they're pissed off about this situation too.
Can I just note that I think that's incredibly stupid?
Sorry, keep going.
But I mean, that if you think that's stupid, that's fine. But I mean, that's the business world.
No, but no, I'm just saying. I think it's stupid that they're concerned about this content, yet at one of their, what do you want to call them, the unveiling presentations or whatever, they're praising My 90 Day Fiance as one of the pillars of their network. That thing is such crap and demonstrative of humanity and proof that humanity.
When did they on TLC?
I know, but I'm just saying.
It's a Discovery Network.
I know. Just saying. Remember, it's an umbrella now. It's a whole umbrella. But they're praising
this is
that
as worse
show.
as the AOL Time Warner merger.
Maybe it might be. You know,
it is.
Do I think that's stupid? Yes, but can I see if you're not a wrestling person, why you really don't want to touch this now? Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm a person that doesn't follow Shark Week, but you don't see me, buying up Discovery and saying, okay, I don't really care about nature shows. You can watch that on National Geographic.
But
it's not the consumer that's dictating that. The company was merged and everyone from Warner was fired.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's Discovery bought Turner Warner Media, and there's talk that they're selling DC franchises. They're not interested. They're gonna shut down HBO Max. They're not interested in spending money. They just scrapped a whole Batman movie that was already done.
No, that was the animated series. It wasn't canceled, but it was not going to be on HBO Max.
No, there's a whole there's a Batgirl movie that they hadn't. Yeah.
Yes, Batgirl, not Batman.
It had Batman.
It had
but I was gonna say a Batgirl, but again, who's counting?
It's essentially it cost them. They did it for a tax write-off.
They did.
And they're looking to cut more. And AEW is coming to the end of their contract. Do they have a year extension built into it? Yes, they absolutely do. But if there's this much drama going on in the company, do you want to exercise that year? Maybe not. Do you want to re-sign them for more money? Fuck no.
Probably no.
So
and they might get signed for less money.
And then with the fight, look, hey, maybe you should wait till things cool down. But when you literally say, if you got a problem, come talk to me, they went to go talk to him, and Punk didn't want to talk. Now, if they kick the door down, yeah, that's bullshit.
Okay,
but
I wanted to make sure you knew about that report. I just saw that right before the podcast. I want to make sure you saw that.
Yeah, if they kick the door down, there's some fault there. But I'm also going to say this: allegedly, don't sue me, Punk. Don't sue me, TK. Allegedly, CM Punk threw the first punch. Could it have been a heated conversation with a lot of pissed off people and a lot of things, but no one got hurt until CM Punk said, I want to hurt somebody now. Okay. Game on. It's embarrassing. It's unprofessional, and it's ridiculous. And Tony Khan, granted, he didn't know this was going on, or probably didn't know this was going on.
Okay,
when he said this,
hold on. He didn't know.
Well, let me finish. Let me finish this point.
Yeah.
He goes on and says, "I'm not Jim Crockett. I'm not gonna fucking take this line down," or something to that fucking effect. You know what Jim Crockett was able to do that you're apparently incapable of right now? You're able to keep egos in check and keep everything at least somewhat copacetic. Jim Crockett had Dusty Rhodes, Lex Luger, Sting, and the Four Horsemen. You don't think there was some egos there? You don't think there was some, I should be getting more time, I should be the champion, I should be getting this, I should be getting that, among all those names? But he kept them in check. At least enough. At least enough that if anything like this happened, it wasn't in front of the fucking media or in front of fucking fans. So yeah. Oh, I'm not Jim Crockett. Yeah, because you know something? Jim Crockett didn't try and be everybody's friend all the time. Jim Crockett didn't just be like, oh, well, WWF sucks and let's fucking go, woo, all the time. And if you don't fucking do I think AEW is gonna die? I don't think it's. I don't think it's gonna be like. No, I don't. I don't think it's gonna be like this whole. It's gonna be dead tomorrow because of this. But do I think that if in 3, 4, 5 years it's gone, we can look at this moment and go, and there's where it started.
And that would be fair if that is the case. The thing I will say, and I was telling this to my other friends, regardless of what happens tomorrow night, which a lot of people are going to be paying attention tomorrow night, no matter what, even especially the haters. The haters are going to want to know what's going on. But no matter what happens, TK is literally going to have to work like well over what he's done before to try and redeem what happened, because no one's talking about All Out anymore. No one's talking about the huge tag match. No one's talking about MJF. No one's talking about Punk being Moxley. Everyone's talking about what Punk and the Elite did. And everybody wants to know, I just saw a report saying that Jericho and Moxley are going to be on tomorrow's show. They weren't supposed to be there. Things have happened that they want to have them there, I guess, for either draws, for attention, whatever. They're already shifting their plans because of what's happened. The TKs, and again, we got 2 weeks until Grand Slam, which last year was legendary because of Brian and Omega, and he's got 2 weeks now to overcome this and book that show. Like, TK's gonna be working overtime just to make sure that AEW is in a position to say, hey, yeah, this is a show you have to work on or watch, and not just think what's gonna happen next with Punk and the Elite. And I feel bad for him for that. Regardless of what his role was and all that happened, that this should not be something he has to worry about. I would hope that the wrestlers will respect him enough for this, and Punk clearly didn't when he's right next to him.
The one thing I found ironic was when Tony Khan went out to do his "Let's fucking go" speech before the pay-per-view. His mic didn't work, so he just gave up and went out. Yeah, it's not the only time he just couldn't find himself able to speak tonight.
Ouch.
On that night.
Ouch.
Yeah. Tony Khan brought this on himself by not stepping up sooner. You weren't going to be able to. You weren't going to be able to glide on the "we're not WWE, we're not WWE, we don't do what they do, we don't have that kind of bullshit happen," sort of thing that he was all about forever. One, because supposedly, allegedly, WWE might be a better place, or at least a better place to work at now. But, number two, eventually you're going to have some guy come in and he's not going to play well with others. And that's guy with CM Punk. Punk doesn't play well with others. I watched, back when I actually liked CM Punk, I watched a shoot interview with him when he was still in Ring of Honor in 2004, and he was a douchebag about everything. Everybody needs to listen to me. I'm smarter than the average bear. Um-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. I'm CM Punk. That's CM Punk. It's what made him a lot of money. I will give all the credit where credit is due. That is what made CM Punk a star. That's what made him a lot of money. That's what made him WWE champion for over a year. Yeah. And everybody just thinks, well, when we have CM Punk, everything's just going to be great and hunky-dory and full of sunshine and rainbows and lollipops and happy land where we can say, fuck the WWE. No, that's clearly not what happened. And now, the one selling point that you always had left to wrestlers was, well, we're not like the WWE. WWE's not so bad anymore.
Yeah.
All that remains to be seen. So
drama in WWE, but nothing as frightening as this, where the pay-per-view gets overshadowed to a backstage fight.
Well, hold on. Sasha Naomi. Sasha
Okay,
Naomi.
as lately, as
Sasha
of lately, yeah,
Naomi,
Sasha
the Montreal
Naomi, yes.
Screw Job.
But no, but okay, but Naomi and Sasha, they didn't try to start a fight in the women's locker room. God forbids.
No, but
Sean and Brett had a backstage fight. The curtain call in Madison Square Garden. There was a lot of stuff that was just like this in WWE. To be fair, I'm not just throwing shit on AEW. Like this, there's a track record of this in WWF and E. Like it happens.
Like
But
one of the things that SRS said today was, I've covered so many things in 2022, and I've covered 6 things that have changed, the wrestling landscape. And he noted Stone Cold Steve Austin came out of retirement this year, and that wasn't even the top 5 moments now.
Yeah.
Like, that's how crazy this year has been between AEW and WWE. And you'd think that this would be a great thing, but some of those moments were really bad, including Sasha Naomi and now the CM Punk Elite incident. And that's why I'm almost eager to be just breaking kayfabe. It's like 10 o'clock right now. I wish it was 24 hours from now so that I could say, oh my gosh, this is what happened on AEW, and I wonder where they're going to go now. The anticipation is killing me. Like, I'm waiting for the news message or tweet or graphic. Tony Khan will address the AEW fans tomorrow. I've been waiting for that like all day.
okay,
I have to
that's
know.
That's okay. It's cool you say that, because I was gonna kind of ask. So, what does everybody think about AEW? What personally as fans, we call ourselves, the stream is the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show, where we talk about things, in kind of relation to how we just feel as fans. So that's kind of that's Todd's take. Easy. How are you feeling right now about the product? What is your interest in AEW? What is, how are you feeling as a fan? What do you want to see?
Keep going.
No, just kind of like where are you at?
I was gonna say, did y'all not listen to my rant for 20 minutes? But yeah, honestly, just as a fan, I'm gonna give like 3 perspectives here. As a fan, embarrassed. If I was an investor to AEW, I would legitimately be blowing up Tony Khan's phone and be like, what the fuck is going on over there? Like, if my money is going to you to make your company better, then what the fuck is going on out there? I could be doing better investing in your stupid football team, whether it was the United States or in England. But anyways, like this, if we look back, if fast forward, if like to 3 to 5 years, if AEW like is indeed gone, as I said before, if AEW is gone, I am finished with professional wrestling. No matter if WWE gets better or not, but I'll be finished because you had an opportunity and you fucked it. But yeah, like with what Todd said, it's not gonna die, but still, like this will be, if we look back to why AEW's gone, this is gonna be why. But what was my third perspective through the talent. There's got to be some communication here as to like what is going on here, because I was like literally looking through Twitter. Nobody in the talent has any idea what the hell is going on, especially what's going to happen with on Wednesday's show of the fallout from All Out. And as I said, I'll be watching, but yeah, my first mind will not be about the pay-per-view. It's going to be, is someone going to say something? And especially, is MJF, of all people, going to say something? Because that man is going to always make a promo of the year thing work, especially with this first promo since his pipe bomb. Is he going to bring something up like this? Because he might. If you tell him no, he's going to say yes.
The second person's Max Caster.
Huh?
Max Caster.
Oh, the
What
rat.
about Max Caster?
Oh, everyone's like, there's already tweets about that. It's like, oh, he's getting ready. Even Max Caster quoted one's like, oh yeah, I'm getting ready. No.
Oh. Okay, now MGF in a Max Caster promo, I want to see that happen right now. Scissor it to me long and hard.
I'm just saying, I'm just waiting for a line like,
man, we just got banned from YouTube with that one.
What?
But anyways, I was like, just back to my point here. It's just, I said it like earlier, like you need to make some discipline here. You need to tell the talent, whatever egos you got, whether you are loved or you are hated, bury it. It stays outside of the wrestling ring. It doesn't belong anywhere. And especially with the day and age of social media, people are going to find out everything that you do. If this was something that was going on like during the Monday Night Wars, if there was a fight between the New World Order and some other talent, it would only come up
There was
as
a fight between
rumors.
Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in the Monday Night War. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
just keep going.
Yeah.
Let's just keep going.
Anyways, just you need TK needs to address that this happened. He needs to say he apologizes to everyone from fans and investors and even to Warner Brothers Discovery, who again, as I said, they're looking at this situation. I know it. You need to say we need to do better, because especially if we do our state of AEW at the end of the year, this is going to be the number one thing we bring up. We did this back before Double or Nothing about what our thoughts were with 2022, and it kind of seems like they haven't done shit. I'm going to be honest. They haven't done shit to make this better for ourselves. That's just my opinion. We'll see what happens at the end of the year, and if MJF is not AEW champion, he is going to bounce right straight to Triple H's lap and be like, sign me. That's it.
All right. CJ.
So, from a fan perspective, I think that you have to address it on Dynamite tomorrow for the fans. Personally, if it was my decision, I probably would have released a statement. Not really saying what happened, just yes, I understand, from TK himself. Yes, I understand something happened. We are working on it. Give us some time. And then, from a not fan perspective, if I'm in his shoes, I send an email to all my talent. I explain the bare bones of, yes, there was a situation. A lot of people have heard it. Please don't talk to anybody. We are handling this internally. We're going to have a big meeting before Dynamite again. Just please show up. Please, show up with questions, show up with your concerns. I would 1000% have Jericho there to handle that, because Jericho from day one has been a locker room leader. He's fantastic in these kinds of situations.
Isn't that the most ironic thing, though? Like, especially after everything the fans have said about him, that he's the locker room leader we all need right now. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
I really started to
I
mix
love
up like
Jer- I love
Jericho and Eddie
Jericho.
Kingston.
The guy that everybody wants to retire, because he doesn't put on quote unquote 5-star matches anymore, is the one that's
Well-
probably the glue to keep this all together. But
Yeah,
go on.
the
He does.
That's not the
sports
reason, but
entertainer
sure.
of a pro wrestling company is your locker room leader, basically.
Yeah.
But
no,
he's such a
sports.
fantastic human. Jericho is just a fantastic human. He will sit down and he will listen to all the sides. He is a neutral third party, in my opinion. I definitely have him there. I don't think it's a bad call to have Moxley there. I think that Mox is probably a good, even though we see like this lunatic fringe kind of character that he's always played on TV, I think he's a very calm, strong presence to have. You've already got people saying that they have mental health issues potentially in the company wanting to leave. You don't want to have this problem where your guys feel like they're being worked, that they don't feel like they know what's going on, that they feel like if they side with the wrong people, they're going to get fired. There's a lot of turmoil that's going around with unknowns. So I think it's really important, more so than us, the fans, knowing what's going on. He needs to get the house in order. He needs to assign who's, if you have issues about this, here's the person, please contact Jericho or please contact JR for now. And, they'll filter it to me. I'm handling the situation hands-on directly. I'll let everybody know before. You will not hear it from Dave Meltzer. You will not hear it from anyone else. Please allow your coworkers that same, please allow that to be the way that everyone hears it. Let's not talk about this to the press. I will release a statement when everything's said and done. Just let me have this opportunity to work on this in-house and let you all know equally how this is going to play out before we let the fans know. And I do all this in the next 24 hours. and I address it with the fans. And what I kind of pitched in a private conversation is you strip him. You do not interim him. You send him home for now. I would fire him, but a lot of people don't like that because he makes too much money. You are making money before CM Punk. There's not one person that's the end all be all of wrestling. That's the beauty of the wrestling business.
We especially saw that with Cody leaving.
Yeah,
We've seen that many times over. Stone Cold, The Rock, Roman, now John
Kenny.
Cena,
Yeah.
Kenny.
Yeah,
Everybody.
AEW at one point, like in the course of 4 months, had like 5 of their top stars gone because of injury, and life went on.
Yeah, everything's going to be okay. Just because this wasn't the way you wanted things to work out, just because this was the money. This was the thing that secured a good TV deal going forward into the future. Yes, is Punk and MJF. And to me, I have a whole tournament with like the top 9 rated single stars in the company and MJF to ultimately say who will fight for the championship. I interim the trios titles because I do not think that one side deserves to be punished over the other. I suspend them too. I suspend them much harder than 2 weeks because they're EVPs, and I don't care if this is the wrestling business and fights happen and, creative people get fiery and blah. I don't care. You hired those 3 to be corporate. They get more benefits. They get more heat. So they get punished. You get an interim trio belt, or you strip them. Either I'm a fan of the just stripping them, but
You heard it here first. She likes. I'm not making that joke. Oh, it's right there. I'm not making that joke.
If it were the Dark
I
Order,
almost-
maybe.
I almost said it.
Off topic, didn't somebody from New Japan get stripped of a title because they were being egotistical? I swear I thought I've heard a story like that
Not
before.
that, no.
no.
I thought I read it somewhere.
Will
There's-
Ospreay couldn't go
there's-
back to Japan, and he was stripped. But
I think that's what the story I was thinking of.
yeah, that wasn't it wasn't an ego thing.
That was just the geeks' take on it.
Yeah, it could have been with Will Ospreay's ego, but hey, go on. You got to finish your statement.
But yeah, I think that you don't not address it because it's the gigantic 10-ton elephant in the whole room. You don't just go through the show tomorrow night and not address it. And I don't think that you let the reporters address it for you. I think that to come across strong and in control, Tony Khan, for once, not as like an on-screen character and not moving forward ever again, does he need to show his face on TV, but he needs to address the fandom. And I think he needs to apologize to the fandom for kind of letting things fall off the rails and not being responsible and proactive and explaining it. If he explains it kayfabe, then that's fine. The fans don't need a whole explanation of what happened. We just need to know what the plan is moving forward. But the wrestlers, the locker room, the staff need to know. They deserve to know.
All right. One last thing before I get to mine, because I know some people's takes on, well, you still can't suspend Punk. It's the wrestling business. You gotta take care of the golden goose. Sort of takes were, around the IWC. Okay, that's fine if you want to think that way. But remember, this is AEW, and we were supposed to be better than that. Like, that's the thing that bothers me about a lot of these takes is this whole company was built on we're better than that. So that's just kind of my last thing that I forgot to mention earlier. But as far as my interest in AEW, I'm still going to watch. Like, it is still a wrestling product I enjoy. The passion is gone now, though. I mean, maybe that's a bad way of putting it, but I don't think I'm ever going to love AEW like I once did. The magic was going away. The revolution, I've said several times on here, you're no longer fighting the system. You are the system now. But that magic that at least sorry, CJ, three of us felt, and I can't speak for them, but I felt on that night that the three of us were all in. That is completely gone. The specialness, all the spirit of that, everything from that is now gone. This is the wrestling. This is the wrestling business the way it can be. It can be full of egos, full of ugliness, full of the worst possible things, and maybe we believed that wrestling could be better than that 4 years ago, 3 years ago. When it was actually 3 years ago when it was a brand and there were we knew what was coming. It wasn't just a one and done, but all of that is gone. I no longer feel that way about this brand. It is a wrestling show. It is nothing more than a wrestling show that has matches I enjoy. That's it now. And when I stop getting matches and above all stories that I enjoy from them, I'm going to stop watching. Just like I did with WWE, just like I did with Ring of Honor, just like I did with TNA, just like I did with WCW. When there's nothing that makes me care anymore, I will no longer watch. And when this company first started, I never thought that, I always knew that, there'll be hills and there'll be valleys and there'll be times when it's the best thing I ever want to see, and then times where it's not as good. But I never thought we'd get to this point, to where I could conceivably believe that I will no longer watch AEW. But now I truly believe it, that time could come, and it could come soon. I agree that everybody involved should be suspended. The Bucks, Kenny, CM Punk suspension, Ace Steel should be fired. You got to have one. Hate to say this, but you got to have one scapegoat and everything to really take the brunt of it.
And hey, and even on that, he should go, not just because he's on, and I don't mean this as an insult, but he's a backstage producer who bit a talent. Like, that's the one consistent throughout the whole story, is that Ace Steel bit Kenny. Like, everyone is saying that.
And threw a chair at Matt.
Oh yeah, and a chair.
Yeah.
So that's
and apparently Matt got a black eye.
Yeah.
So you suspend all of them. I agree. You don't enter them. We've already bastardized Title Legacy with a bunch of quick changes with the TNT title and the world title now. So fuck it. Let's just there's no longer a long reign integrity of a belt that we gotta protect in this company anymore. So fuck it. All four of them no longer have belts. And you keep them off, you suspend them without pay for an extended period of time. I'm not saying for a year or 6 months, but I feel like they need to miss some shows and maybe miss a pay-per-view.
So would you suspend them for the rest of the year then?
No.
I'd say maybe suspend them till after Full Gear.
I'd say,
and as far as like, well, what are they gonna do? You've got Bryan Danielson, you've got Jon Moxley, you've got MJF, you've got
Claudio, you've got
Claudio, you've got Wardlow,
you have an unused Ring of Honor talent that haven't ditched you yet.
Yeah, you've got everybody in there. Now, will you maybe take a hit with some of your golden?
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna take a hit on the ratings. But you know what? You got to do that. You got to do that. If you don't do that, you're setting a bad precedent for the rest of your talent thing. And that, oh hey, if I just want what I want, I'm gonna go on the media scrum and just shoot. And that's what you have to do with this. And Tony Khan has got to be a leader from now on. He can't just be, we all
fishing off daddy's money.
We all when this whole AEW thing first started, we're all like, this is why Tony Khan's so cool, is because he's one of us,
Yeah.
he hasn't lost touch with being a fan and hasn't lost touch with wrestling like Vince McMahon has or anything like that. He's I hate to put over Vince McMahon, but you gotta do some things the way Vince McMahon did them. I'm not saying sexually harass women and pay hush money, but I'm saying hey, I want to do this. No, you're not. But it's a good idea. No, it's not.
You need to have a firm hand. Is
Yeah.
what you're trying to say. You
I
need
wanna-
to have a firm hand when it's appropriate.
Yeah, I want to do all, hey, if the agent goes like, hey, so and so wants to do this in his match. No, he's not. No, she's not. They want to do this storyline. No, they're not. Well, they're mad about it and they're unhappy there. Their contract's up in 2 years. If they're still unhappy there, they can walk. You can't be everybody's buddy anymore. You can't be, everybody's, oh, but they're so cool anymore. That's done. That's OVER. It's done. Over. You've got to be a boss now.
We'll find out on Wednesday how much of a boss he is. That's just the truth.
Yeah. You can't be everybody's buddy and you can't make everybody happy. They proved that on The Office. Can't do that. Even when Jim thought he was going to, oh, hey, I'm not stupid like Michael. I'm going to make everybody happy with this. And Jim pissed everybody off. That's what it is when you run something. That is what happens.
I finally thought of a third person that should also address the talent is William Regal. One person that has probably seen every single bit of hell is him.
Yeah. That is.
And he made sure the NXT locker room, whether on TV or off camera, they were happy. So I think Regal needs to have a big say to the talent, saying, "Listen, shut up with your egos. We are here to work, and if you don't like one another, tough shit. You can talk it out."
Yeah. That's what needs to happen. This isn't, everybody thought I was stupid, and everybody, thought I was way off base when Cody left, saying, well, maybe AEW isn't the happy the happy place we all think it is, and everybody thought I was stupid. And I'm not saying this is why Cody left or that there was rumblings of that then or anything, but I'm saying that do you see that maybe that wasn't an off-base take now? Not saying anything, I'm just saying.
In that case, then why don't we wrap this up then?
Well,
because we could go another 2 hours, and I
we
don't
could.
really want to.
We could, and that is the end of this because that is my final word. I want to thank you all for tuning in. This is something that couldn't be done on the normal show. So if you won the contest, the drawing will still be on the show, but with Dynamite and Raw that we do need to talk about. Clearly, we couldn't have attacked this at all angles like we did just on the normal show, or we would have been here for like hours upon hours, even more so. So thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. Everybody else want to plug their social media?
Okay, I guess I'll go. And whenever I hear silence, I'll go. All right, just follow me at Twitter at ERIKZERINS. So, and if you have any other subjects that you want to talk about other than pro wrestling, I'm all for it.
Yep.
So, talk to me about motorsports.
CJ?
I have Twitter at CJTmall0 if you want to tweet me some murder and some really good
Accounting advice.
I don't need accounting advice. I'm fantastic at that. I need some palate cleansers at this point. Give me some true crime palate cleansers right now because that's where I'm at in life.
And I'm
True crime. Watch some American Greed. That's a great show.
I did like it.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Guardians_comic. If you want to ask me about the Thunder Rosa comic, go ahead. It's good, and the only fights that are in there are between her and the actual wrestler she fought in the ring.
Yes, and
I'm just saying.
Follow me on my social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeeking9, Twitter athletic_geeking9, Instagram athleticgeeking9. If you would like to help improve this channel, I am on Patreon. And yeah, tweet me some motorsports things. Hey, Eric Jones won the Southern 500. And wow, what a tight championship points battle we have going into the last IndyCar race.
And also, didn't someone also get some awesome birthday presents from a certain somebody?
Yes. But tune in to see what those are on the live stream. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next time, hopefully with a much more positive thing to talk about. Later.